Now, friends, this psalm that we're coming to is known as an imprecatory psalm, Psalm 137. And this is a psalm that there's been a great deal of criticism about. It is a psalm that the minute that you come to it and read it, well, you find out it is a psalm that makes you sit up and take notice. And to me, it's like riding down the highway, and all of a sudden you come to where 3 flares have been thrown down. 3 red lanterns are hanging out that tell you to slow down. Or it's like that cross that used to be at every railroad crossing. Stop, look, and listen. Well, the first flare here tells us that this is an imprecatory psalm. Or the first flare says stop. And what we have here is one of the historical psalms, and the very interesting thing is no historical book tells us anything about the history of the children of Israel when they are out of that land. After they came into the land, after they became a nation born in the brickyards of Egypt, the minute they go out of that land, the Bible has no record of them. And that's the reason between the Old and New Testament, you have no record. There's no record of the 70 years captivity. Jeremiah and Ezekiel and Daniel tell us something about it, but none of the historical books. And there is a wide hiatus here, a wide gap, a void and a vacuum. And then you come after the Babylonian captivity to the books of Ezra, Nehemiah, and Esther, and you pick up the record. Now you can look through a keyhole at their tragic plight, and that's what you have in this psalm here. You see the children of Israel down in Babylon in captivity. This is a bird's-eye view of the hopeless life they lived in captivity. It records their tragic yet tender experience, the bitter hatred and the deep love that was in their heart. You can put your ear to the door of this psalm, and you can hear the sob of their soul. That first is stop. That's the first flare. The second flare, it says look. Stop, look. And verse 4 says, how shall we sing the Lord's song in a foreign or strange land? And the question that is raised there has no answer. There are a lot of questions like that. A question asked Mr. Milquetoast, you know, are you still beating your wife? You can't answer it. And you can't answer this question here, as we shall see. And then there is the third flare, or the stop, look, now listen. This is one of the imprecatory psalms. There's a prayer, a wish here for vengeance that has called higher criticism to jump in glee. They just say that this could not be in the Word of God. Listen to it. Happy shall he be that taketh and dasheth thy little ones against the stones. Now, you can take the position of higher criticism today and reject this psalm. There are many folk that do that. They say, well, I believe the Bible is the Word of God, but I just don't like this psalm, so I won't accept it. And that is generally the position of higher criticism. And there are some today who call themselves Bible believers that use that same method. It's an untenable method, by the way. It's an untenable position. You just can't hold to that at all and be logical. It's the one view that doesn't make sense at all. It's like the simple fella down in Texas, country boy. He joined with a neighbor of his to buy a cow. And so when they bought this cow, the neighbor said, I tell you what, you take the front part of the cow. That's the nicest part. I'll take the back part of the cow. And this poor simple boy, he thought that was a good thing. But it took him about a month to discover he'd made a mistake. He had the end of the cow that you had to feed, and the other fellow was getting the milk at the other end of the cow. And the idea today that you can come to the Word of God and you take the part you want and leave the other part, you just can't take that position. Then there are those that say they believe the Bible from cover to cover, but they're rather ignorant of it. One of the criticisms that's been made against fundamentalism, and I'm of the opinion it's been valid in many cases, is that we are anti-intellectual. Well, I've been amazed in my ministry at the ignorance of the Bible among both ministers and laymen. You know, there's more than one way of denying the Word of God. You can merely act as if it's not the Word of God, and the way that you do that is not to study it, not to read it. If this is the Word of God, my friend, it's the most important book that there is in the world. It's more important than the newspaper. It's more important than the TV, and it's more important than the book of the month, if it's the Word of God. And we deny it by the very fact that we practically reject it in our daily lives. Well, the other position is we can believe it and attempt to determine the meaning. And with that kind of an introduction, I'd like for us to look now at this very wonderful psalm. Stop